I woke up in a suite I didn't remember entering, wearing a ring I didn't remember choosing, married to a man whose last name I couldn't pronounce. The champagne taste was still bitter on my tongue when I heard the knock, 3 times, deliberate, like a countdown. My head pounded with each strike against the door. The Vegas sunrise bled through floor-to-ceiling windows, turning everything gold and unforgiving. I was wearing hotel silk that wasn't mine. My dress from last night, that ridiculous white thing Jenna had picked out, lay crumpled by the bathroom door like evidence at a crime scene. The knocking came again. I wrapped the robe tighter and opened the door, expecting room service. Maybe coffee. Maybe answers to questions I hadn't yet learned to ask. Instead, I found him. Not the laughing stranger from the chapel. Not Marco with the easy smile and the accent that had made forever sound like a promise instead of a threat. This version wore a suit that probably cost more than my student loans. Midnight blue, perfectly tailored, the kind of expensive that whispers instead of shouts. His hair was slicked back now, severe, revealing a face that belonged on ancient coins. All sharp angles and older authority. A thin scar traced his left eyebrow, the only imperfection. You will feel so many emotions in this mysterious love story I'm about to tell. Please support us by clicking subscribe to the channel. Mrs. Russo. The way he said it made my blood run cold. Not a question. A statement of fact. We need to discuss the terms of our arrangement. Behind him, I noticed what I'd missed in my hangover fog. Men in the hallway. 2 of them, maybe 3, wearing suits that didn't quite hide the shapes underneath. The kind of shapes that suggested violence as a career choice. The entire floor had gone silent in that way spaces do when something dangerous enters them. Arrangement? My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Weaker. This was a mistake. A drunk mistake. We can just annul it, right? He stepped inside without asking permission, moved past me like he owned the room, owned the building, owned the city spread out below us in the harsh morning light. He walked to the window, hands clasped behind his back, every inch a man accustomed to being obeyed. An annulment would be inconvenient. The word hung there. Inconvenient. Like I was a scheduling conflict. Like the past 12 hours of my life were a minor administrative error. You signed documents last night? He continued, still looking out at Vegas glittering below. Legal documents. I was drunk. You were coherent enough to negotiate terms. He pulled out his phone, sleek, expensive, the kind that probably cost more than my rent, and swiped with practiced efficiency. Turned the screen toward me. There I was, in that tacky white dress, reading from a paper with a furrowed brow. Actually reading. My lawyer father's daughter even 3 drinks deep. I looked focused, determined, almost sober. I felt the floor tilt. What did I agree to? To be my wife for 6 months. He said it simply, like discussing the weather. Like people made these kinds of deals every day. In exchange, I agreed to fund your medical education, full tuition, living expenses, and a stipend. The room went very quiet. Outside, someone laughed, tourists, probably, people whose lives still made sense. The sound felt obscene against the tension stretched tight between us. That's insane. Why would you? Because I need a wife. He turned to face me, and his eyes were different now too. Not the warm brown from last night, but obsidian. Calculating. And you need a future. We made a contract. I honor my contracts. My mind scrambled for purchase, for logic, for any explanation that made this make sense. 24 hours ago, I'd been celebrating my medical school rejection with dollar margaritas and self-pity. Jenna had dragged me to Vegas with one mission: forget everything for one weekend. You've been responsible your entire life, Claire, she'd said. One night. Be reckless. The chapel had been perfect in its tackiness. Neon lights, Elvis impersonator, the works. Marco, this man, this stranger wearing Marco's face, had smiled like consequences didn't exist. We'd laughed through our vows. I'd actually laughed. But the man standing in my hotel room now wasn't laughing. What if I refuse? I heard myself ask. Something flickered across his face, almost like satisfaction. Like I'd finally asked the right question. Then you'll discover exactly how binding a contract witnessed by the state of Nevada can be. He moved toward the door with the confidence of someone who'd already won. A car will collect you at noon. Bring what matters. Everything else will be provided. Wait. I grabbed his arm without thinking. Felt muscle tense beneath expensive fabric. Felt the heat of him, the realness. I don't even know who you are. He looked at my hand on his arm, then at my face. And for just a second, I saw something flicker in that stone expression. Almost like regret. Almost like humanity. You know enough, he said quietly. You knew last night. I don't remember last night. Then I'll remind you. He leaned closer, and I caught his scent. Cedar and something darker. Something that smelled like money and power and choices I'd never had to make. You told me you were tired of being invisible. Tired of being good. Tired of watching everyone else get what they wanted while you played by rules that never applied to them anyway. My breath caught. Because even through the champagne fog, I remembered saying those words. Remembered meaning them. You asked me, he continued, voice low, if I could make you matter. Make you someone they couldn't ignore. And I said yes. He stepped back, straightened his cuffs with practiced precision. From now on, no one touches you, not even yourself. You belong to the Russo family now. The door closed with a whisper. I stood there, frozen, as my phone buzzed with an incoming text from an unknown number. A car. Noon. Don't make me come back for you. I tried calling Jenna 17 times. Every call went straight to voicemail. I tried my roommate. Nothing. I tried anyone who might anchor me to the life I'd had yesterday. The life that made sense. The life where I was nobody special, but at least I was free. The phone buzzed again. This time, a photo. My apartment building. My car in the parking lot. The coffee shop where I studied. My usual table visible through the window. Then, we know where you live. We know your routine. We know everything. Noon, Claire. Be smart. I looked around the suite. Marble bathroom, king bed I didn't remember sleeping in, champagne bottle empty on the nightstand. My purse was on the dresser. I checked it with shaking hands. Everything was there. Wallet, keys, ID. Nothing stolen. Except my freedom, except my future. Except any illusion that last night had been just a mistake. I took a shower because I didn't know what else to do. Let the water run hot enough to hurt. Tried to wash away the champagne taste. The memory of laughing in a chapel. The feeling of Marco's... No, not Marco. The strangers. Lips on mine when we'd sealed our vows. When I emerged, there were clothes laid out on the bed. Designer labels I recognized from magazines I couldn't afford. Jeans that would fit perfectly. A sweater that cost more than my textbooks. Everything in my size. They'd been planning this. All of it. I got dressed because what else could I do? Stayed in my hotel room because where else could I go? Waited for noon because time kept moving forward, even when your life stopped making sense. At 11:55, I grabbed my purse and walked to the elevator. The car was waiting. Black Mercedes, windows so tinted I couldn't see inside. A man stood beside it, built like a linebacker in an expensive suit, face like he'd been carved from granite and bad decisions. Mrs. Russo, he said, opening the back door. I climbed in because the alternative was standing on a Vegas street corner at noon, hungover and married and completely out of options. The door closed, the locks engaged with a sound like a coffin ceiling. We drove in silence. I tried to see where we were going, but the windows were too dark. Tried to open them. They were locked. Tried to open my door. Locked too. Where are we going? I finally asked. The driver didn't answer. Didn't even glance in the rearview mirror. We drove for what felt like hours, but was probably minutes. When we finally stopped, the door opened onto an underground garage that looked like it belonged to a government facility. Concrete, security cameras, more men in suits. The driver, Marcus, I'd learn later, gestured toward an elevator. Mr. Russo is waiting. The elevator required a code. Marcus entered it without hesitation. We rose in silence, my ears popping with the altitude. When the doors opened, I stepped into a penthouse that stole my breath. Crystal chrome, floor-to-ceiling windows showing the entire city like a kingdom laid out for inspection. Art on the walls that I recognized from textbooks. Originals, not prints. Furniture that looked sculptural, untouchable. A woman appeared. Severe black dress, hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. Eyes that swept over me and found me lacking. Mrs. Russo. I'm Sophia. I manage the household. She said it like managing households was a profession, like this was normal. Mr. Russo has arranged accommodations for you. This way. I followed because my legs moved on autopilot. Down a hallway lined with more art, more evidence of wealth I couldn't comprehend. She opened a door at the end. Your quarters, not a room. Quarters. Like I was military personnel. Like this was a deployment. The space was larger than my childhood home. Bedroom with a bed that could sleep 5 people. Bathroom with a tub carved from a single piece of marble. Sitting room with a view that would have been breathtaking if I could breathe. Walk-in closet already filled with clothes, dresses, jeans, shoes, everything in my exact size. You'll find everything you need, Sophia said. Her voice was professional, distant, like she'd done this before. Mr. Russo requests your presence for dinner at 8. Marcus will escort you. Marcus? She gestured to the linebacker who'd driven me. He stood outside my door now, guarding me or imprisoning me. I couldn't tell the difference. He's assigned to your security. The door closed. I heard a lock click. I was alone in a golden cage with a view of the city I couldn't touch and a future I hadn't chosen and a name that wasn't mine. Mrs. Russo. I went to the window, tried to open it, sealed, tried the door, locked from the outside, tried my phone. Full signal, but when I attempted to call an Uber, the app crashed. When I tried to reinstall it, my phone wouldn't let me. They'd thought of everything. I sat on the bed, soft enough to drown in, and finally let myself feel it. The terror, the anger, the shame of being so stupid, so reckless, so desperate to be someone different for one night that I'd signed away 6 months of my life. At 7:45, Marcus knocked 3 times, like the knock that had started all of this. Time for dinner, Mrs. Russo. I changed into the simplest dress I could find. Black, long-sleeved, high-necked, nothing that would give him satisfaction. Let Marcus lead me downstairs to a dining room built for kings. Marco, no, not Marco anymore. Just him, just the stranger I'd married, sat at the head of a table built for 20, reading something on his tablet. Black shirt now, sleeves rolled to his elbows. I could see tattoos winding up his forearms in patterns I couldn't decipher from this distance. Sit, he said without looking up. I sat. What else could I do? Dinner appeared as if by magic. Pasta that smelled like heaven. Wine that probably cost more than my car. Bread still warm from somewhere. I didn't touch any of it. Eat. I'm not hungry. Eat anyway. You're too thin. That's none of your... His hand slammed down. Not violent, but final. The sound echoed through the cavernous room. When he finally looked at me, his expression was unreadable. Controlled. Dangerous in its calm. Let me be clear, Claire. You signed a contract. That makes you my responsibility, my property, in the eyes of everyone who matters, which means I keep you healthy, safe, and alive. He pushed a plate toward me. Eat. I picked up my fork with shaking hands. The pasta tasted like ash. We ate in silence for exactly 12 minutes. Then his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and something changed in his face. Something dangerous sliding behind his eyes like a shark beneath water. Marcus, take Mrs. Russo to her room. No one goes in or out until I return. Where are you going? The question escaped before I could stop it. He stood, buttoned his cuffs with that same practiced precision, like violence was just another appointment on his calendar. To handle someone who forgot their place. The way he said it made my blood run cold. Marcus escorted me back to my quarters, locked the door from the outside. I heard his footsteps settle into position. A guard, a warden, a reminder that I wasn't free. I tried to sleep. Failed. At 2 a.m., I heard Marco return, footsteps in the hallway, water running, a door closing. At 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I opened it with trembling fingers. Check your email. The email had no subject, no sender name. Just an attachment. I clicked it. A photo of me from this afternoon, taken through my bedroom window by someone on a nearby rooftop. The angle was perfect, professional. I could see everything, my face, my body, the bed behind me. Below the image, 2 words in red. Welcome home. I ran to the door, pounded on it until Marcus opened it, face impassive. There's someone watching me. Someone took my picture. He pulled out his phone, made a call I couldn't hear, then looked at me with something almost like pity. Mr. Russo is coming. Marco appeared in minutes, hair wet, wearing only black pants. Without the armor of his suits, I could see more tattoos, across his chest, down his sides, a full sleeve on his left arm, scripture in Latin, names, dates, a whole history written on his skin like a map of violence. He took my phone, looked at the photo. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Pack a bag," he said quietly. "What? Why? We're leaving. I don't understand." He turned to me, and for the first time, I saw something besides cold authority in his face. Something that looked almost like fury, but not at me. For me, because you weren't just a convenience, Claire. You were chosen. They know you're here, which means you were always supposed to be here. And that means someone's been planning this for a very long time. My phone buzzed in his hand. The photo changed. Now it showed 2 words in red letters big enough to fill the screen. "She's ours." We left through a service elevator I didn't know existed, descended into darkness that smelled like concrete and secrets. Different car this time. Armored, Marco said. Like that was supposed to comfort me. Bulletproof glass. 2 more vehicles flanked us, filled with men whose faces I couldn't see through tinted windows. Marcus drove. Marco sat beside me in the back, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off his skin, far enough that we weren't touching. His phone never stopped buzzing. He answered in Italian, rapid-fire commands that sounded like warfare. "Where are we going?" I finally asked. "Somewhere they can't reach." "Who's they?" He looked at me, then really looked, and I saw exhaustion in his eyes. The kind that comes from carrying weight too long, from making decisions that cost pieces of your soul. People who want to hurt me by hurting you. The honesty of it startled me more than any lie would have. But I'm nobody. I'm a failed med student with debt and no family except a father who hasn't called me in 3 years. Why would anyone— "Your father." His voice went flat. "Tell me about him." "Richard Hartley, corporate lawyer. Boring, legitimate, completely by the book." I leaned back against leather that probably cost more than my tuition. "Why does it matter?" Marco and Marcus exchanged a look in the rearview mirror. The kind of look that meant everything and explained nothing. "Richard Hartley represents the Moretti family," Marco said carefully. "Has for 15 years. The name meant nothing to me. Should it have?" I searched his face for context, found only careful neutrality. "Who are the Morettis?" "Our rivals." He said it simply, like discussing business competitors, not blood enemies. 3 generations of territorial disputes, murders, betrayals. They've been trying to infiltrate our organization for years. The car turned down a street I didn't recognize. Buildings got taller, shadows got deeper. The city transformed into something unfamiliar. "Your father isn't just their lawyer, Claire. He's their inside man." Marco's jaw tightened. "Which means you're not some random girl they targeted. You're leverage. You're a message written in my language, delivered to my doorstep." I thought about Dad's sudden distance 3 years ago, right after Mom died. The phone calls he wouldn't take, the holidays he missed, the way he'd looked at me at her funeral, not with grief, but with something that looked almost like guilt. My father sold me out. Your father probably didn't have a choice. There was something almost gentle in Marco's voice now. They don't ask nicely. We pulled into a parking garage beneath a building I'd passed 100 times without really seeing. The elevator required a code. Marcus entered it without hesitation. We rose in silence, my ears popping. When the doors opened, we entered a penthouse that made the last one look modest. This was obscene wealth, criminal wealth. The kind of money that didn't apologize for existing. "Your room is ready," Marco said. "Sophia will show you." "I don't want a room. I want answers." I stood my ground even though my legs shook. "You can't just move me around like furniture and expect me to." "Expect you to what?" He stepped closer, and I saw the predator beneath the expensive clothes. "To trust me." "I don't expect that. To cooperate. That's not optional. To survive. That's why you're here." "I didn't ask for this." "Neither did I." His control cracked, just slightly. "You think I wanted a liability? A civilian who doesn't understand the rules? Who asks questions I can't answer? Who looks at me like I'm supposed to be something I'm not? Then let me go." "I can't." The words came out quiet, almost defeated. They've already seen you with me, already marked you as mine. Letting you go now would be the same as killing you myself, just slower. Sophia appeared, same severe dress, same tight hair, same expression that suggested she'd seen this scene play out before with different women in different penthouses. This way, Mrs. Russo. I followed because my anger had nowhere else to go. The room was different from the last one. Smaller, more personal. There were books on the shelves, novels I recognized, a laptop on the desk, newer than anything I'd ever owned, clothes in the closet that weren't just my size but my style, jeans and sweaters, nothing ostentatious. How did you know? I asked Sophia. Mr. Russo is thorough. She left me alone. I heard the lock click, softer this time, almost apologetic. I sat on the bed and tried to process. My father worked for criminals. Those criminals wanted to use me against Marco. Marco had married me. Why? Protection? Strategy? Some game I didn't understand the rules to? My phone buzzed. I'd forgotten I still had it. Jenna. OMG. Where are you? Your building manager said you left. Are you okay? Call me. I stared at the message, wanted to respond, to tell her everything, to scream into the phone until someone, anyone, made this make sense. But Marco's words echoed. Every connection is a vulnerability. I typed. On honeymoon. Sorry, should have told you. Back soon. XO. The lie tasted worse than the champagne had. I tried to sleep. Failed. At some point, I heard voices in the hallway, Marco arguing with someone in Italian, the words too fast for me to follow even if I'd understood the language. Then silence. Then footsteps approaching my door. The lock clicked. Marco entered without knocking, carrying a tray with food I hadn't asked for. You need to eat. I'm not hungry. Claire. He set the tray on the desk. Ran his hands through his hair in a gesture that seemed almost human. I know you're angry. I know you're scared. I know this isn't what you signed up for, even drunk. But I need you strong. I need you alert, which means you need to eat. Why do you care? Because you're my responsibility now. I'm your property, you mean. Something flickered across his face. Not anger, regret, maybe, or recognition. In my world, there's not much difference. I grabbed a piece of bread from the tray, tore it apart with my fingers instead of eating it, watched crumbs fall onto expensive carpet. Tell me the truth, all of it. No more half answers, no more cryptic warnings. I met his eyes, held them. Why did you really marry me? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone, showed me a series of photos. Me leaving class 3 months ago. Me at the coffee shop where I studied, my usual table visible. Me at my apartment building, carrying groceries. Dozens of photos spanning weeks. They were watching you long before Vegas, he said. They knew your schedule, your habits, your vulnerabilities. They knew you'd be in that bar that night, drunk enough to be reckless but coherent enough to sign documents. My stomach dropped. You're saying it wasn't random? None of it? I'm saying someone orchestrated an entire weekend to connect you to me. He sat on the edge of the bed, suddenly looking exhausted. The question is why? What makes you valuable enough to use as bait? I thought about my father, about the money he'd always had but never talked about the way he'd shut me out after Mom died, like I was a reminder of something he wanted to forget. I need to know about your father, Marco said quietly. Every detail, every person he introduced you to, every conversation you overheard, every time he acted strange or scared or... He was always scared. The words came out before I could stop them. After Mom died, he was different, jumpy, paranoid. He changed our locks 3 times, installed cameras, stopped answering his phone unless he knew who was calling. Marco's expression darkened. Did he ever mention the Morettis specifically? No. But there was this one time. I searched my memory, pulled at threads I'd ignored for years. A man came to the house, late at night, maybe 2 years ago. I was home from college for winter break. I heard shouting, heard Dad say something like, "I've done everything you asked." The man said, "It's not enough. We own you now." What did the man look like? I only saw his back. White suit, expensive, silver hair. He moved like... I struggled for the right words. Like violence was easy for him. Marco stood abruptly, started pacing. His phone was in his hand, fingers flying across the screen. "Vincent Moretti," he muttered. "Has to be. He's their enforcer, their collector. If he went to your father's house..." "What? What does it mean?" "It means your father owed them more than money." He turned to me, and I saw something in his face that looked almost like pity. "It means they've had leverage over him for years, and now they have leverage over you." My phone buzzed. We both froze. Unknown number. Another photo. This time it was Jenna. My Jenna. Sitting in what looked like a hotel room, reading a magazine, completely unaware she was being photographed through the window. Below the image, insurance policy. In case the daughter needs motivation. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't do anything but stare at my best friend's face on my phone screen while my world collapsed inward. "They have Jenna," I whispered. Marco took my phone. His jaw tightened as he read something I couldn't see. "Not yet. They're just watching her, showing us they can reach her whenever they want. You said she was safe. You said San Diego. You said..." "I thought she was." His voice was hard now, controlled fury barely leashed. "They're better than I thought. Faster. Which means we're out of time." "Out of time for what?" He looked at me then. Really looked. And I saw the weight of decisions being made behind his eyes. Calculations I couldn't follow, strategies I didn't understand. "They want to meet, to negotiate terms?" He showed me another message. "Tomorrow night, midnight, the old warehouse district." "What kind of terms?" "The kind where they offer to leave Jenna alone if I give them something in return." "What do they want?" Marco's silence was answer enough. "Me," I said. "They want you to hand me over." "Yes." The word hung between us like a verdict. "Are you going to?" He moved closer, cupped my face in hands that had probably killed people, that were surprisingly gentle despite everything I knew about him. "No," he said simply, "but I need you to trust me. Can you do that? I don't even know you. You know enough. You knew last night, drunk in that chapel. You saw something in me that made you say yes." His thumb traced my cheekbone. "Trust that instinct now." I wanted to pull away, wanted to rage, to run, to do anything but stand there feeling the warmth of his hands and the weight of his words. But Jenna's face was on my phone. My father's sins were my inheritance. And this stranger, this criminal, this man I'd married in a moment of reckless abandon was the only thing standing between me and whatever the Morettis had planned. "What do I need to do?" I asked. "For now, stay here. Stay safe. Let me handle this. And tomorrow night, I go to war." He said it matter-of-factly, like discussing the weather. "And you become the reason I win or the reason I lose. No middle ground." He dropped his hands, stepped back, headed for the door. "Marco?" He paused, turned. "Why are you doing this? Really?" I searched his face for lies, for manipulation, for anything that would explain why a man like him would risk everything for a woman he barely knew. "You could just give me to them. Cut your losses. Why fight?" For a long moment, he didn't answer. Then, "Because I keep my promises. Even the ones I make drunk in Vegas chapels. Even the ones that might get me killed." He left. The lock clicked. I sat on the bed with my phone in my hands, Jenna's face still on the screen, and let myself finally, fully understand. I wasn't just caught in someone else's war. I was the territory they were fighting over, the prize, the weapon, and I had less than 24 hours to figure out how to be something other than a victim. My phone buzzed one more time. A video message. No sender. I pressed play with shaking fingers. My father's face filled the screen. He was tied to a chair, bloodied, terrified. Behind him, a man in a white suit, Vincent. It had to be Vincent. Spoke in Italian I couldn't understand. Then in English. "Tell your husband that Richard Hartley's debt comes due. 6 months wasn't enough. We want the girl. We want the territory. And we want Marco Russo on his knees." The video cut to black. But not before I saw the clock on the wall behind my father, 11:47 p.m. The timestamp on the video, 11:51 p.m. They'd sent it 4 minutes after recording it, which meant they were close. Very close. and they wanted me to know my father was suffering, not as a warning, but as an invitation to make a choice. Save him or save myself. Marco returned at dawn with salt spray in his hair and blood on his knuckles. He found me still awake, still clutching my phone. The video of my father paused on that terrified face. I'd watched it 17 times, counting the seconds between his blinks, searching for signs of how badly they'd hurt him, how much time he had left. Marco took the phone without asking, watched in silence. His expression never changed, but I'd started learning his tells, the way his jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, the slight flare of his nostrils, the calculated stillness that meant he was already 3 moves ahead. "He's alive," I said. Not a question, a desperate statement of fact. "For now. You're not going to help him. I'm not going to trade you for him. There's a difference." He sat beside me on the couch where I'd spent the night, close enough that I could smell gunpowder and ocean and something darker underneath, something that smelled like violence and choices that couldn't be unmade. "They know that's what you'll ask. It's what they're counting on. He's my father. He's a man who sold his daughter to settle a debt." Marco's voice was flat, final, the kind of tone that didn't allow for argument. "He doesn't get to be your father anymore." The truth of it hit like a fist to the solar plexus. I'd known, on some level, even before Marco confirmed it, known that Dad's distance wasn't grief over Mom's death, it was guilt, shame, the weight of knowing he'd promised me to monsters in exchange for his own survival. "So what are the rules?" I heard myself ask, voice steadier than I felt, "of this arrangement, this contract I apparently agreed to while drunk enough to think consequences were optional." Marco leaned back, studied me with those obsidian eyes that missed nothing. In the early morning light filtering through floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see new details, a bruise forming along his cheekbone, a cut on his lip that looked fresh, the way he favored his left side slightly, like his ribs hurt. "You want the truth?" "I want to stop being surprised by it." He almost smiled. Almost. The expression died before it fully formed, but I caught the ghost of it. Rule 1. You don't leave the safe houses without permission and protection, not negotiable. That's not a rule, that's a prison sentence. It's survival. He rolled his shoulders, and I heard something crack. Rule 2. You don't contact anyone from your old life. No friends, no professors, no one. Not until this is resolved. Every connection is a vulnerability. They'll use anyone you care about. I thought of Jenna, her face on my phone screen, completely unaware she was being watched, hunted. What did you do to my friend? The question came out sharper than I intended. The real answer this time. Put her in a hotel in San Diego with enough money to keep her drunk and happy for a month. She thinks you're on a honeymoon cruise. She's safe. His eyes met mine. Or she was until they found her. The guilt was crushing. Jenna had dragged me to Vegas to help me forget my failures, and I'd repaid her by painting a target on her back. "Thank you," I whispered, "for trying to protect her. Don't thank me. I did it for me, not her." He stood, moved to the window like he couldn't sit still anymore, like the violence in him needed somewhere to go. Rule 3. You tell me everything. Every memory of your father, every detail about his work, every person he introduced you to. If I'm going to end this, I need to understand how deep the Moretti roots go. And what do I get? I stood too, met his gaze across the room. Morning light turned the city below us gold, beautiful and indifferent to our small human dramas. What's my rule? You get to survive. That's not enough. The words surprised me, but I didn't take them back. If I'm property, if I'm leverage, if I'm whatever you say I am, then I want something in return. One rule that's mine. He crossed his arms, intrigued despite himself. Something in his posture shifted, became less defensive, more curious. Name it. You don't lie to me. My voice steadied as I spoke, found its strength. Not about the danger, not about the plan, not about what you're doing when you leave with blood on your hands. You want me to trust you? Then trust me back. No secrets. The silence stretched between us, heavy with calculation. Outside, the sun broke fully over the horizon, turning the ocean in the distance into liquid gold. You don't want that, he finally said. His voice had gone quiet, almost gentle. You think you do, but you don't. Try me. I've killed 17 men in the last 5 years. He said it like reciting a grocery list, like these were facts instead of confessions. 3 of them with my hands. 2 of them begged. I run protection rackets, loan sharking operations, and a gambling ring that spans 6 states. I've bribed judges, blackmailed senators, and disappeared witnesses. The penthouse you were in, bought with money stolen from pension funds. The clothes in your closet, paid for by people's addictions and desperation. He moved closer with each sentence, and I should have stepped back, should have run, should have done anything except stand there while he cataloged his sins like a priest in reverse confession. That's who you married, Claire. That's who you're asking to trust you. He stopped inches away, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. Still want honesty? I thought about my father's face in that video, about the photographer with a message carved into his chest, about the life I'd been living before Vegas, safe, invisible, small, while people like Marco moved through the world like sharks, inevitable and lethal, about the fact that his honesty, brutal as it was, felt more real than any kindness I'd been offered in years. Yes, I said, I still want honesty. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or respect. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away, and touched my jaw. His thumb traced the line of my cheek, rough skin against soft, the gentleness at odds with everything he'd just confessed. Then here's the truth. His voice dropped to something almost intimate. I didn't choose you randomly either. I knew your father worked for the Morettis. I knew marrying you would provoke them. I used you as bait just as much as they did. The betrayal should have been crushing. Instead, I just felt tired. Tired of being moved around like a chess piece. Tired of everyone having plans for me except me. Why tell me now? Because you asked for honesty. And because if we're going to survive the next 6 months, you need to understand something. His hand moved to the back of my neck, firm but not cruel, holding me in place. In my world, everyone uses everyone. The only question is whether they admit it. And you're admitting it. I'm admitting it. I should have slapped him. Should have raged. Should have demanded he unlock the door and let me walk away from this nightmare. Instead, I found myself leaning into his touch like a starving thing. Like honesty was food after years of polite lies. I need to sleep, I whispered. Then sleep. He guided me to the couch, pulled a blanket over me with surprising gentleness. I'll be right here. Why? Because I keep my promises. He settled into a chair facing me, and I noticed for the first time how exhausted he looked. And I promised to protect you. That means I don't close my eyes until you do. I lay down, and impossibly, sleep came. I woke hours later to shouting above. Marco was gone. Through the window, I could see smoke rising from somewhere in the city, black and thick against the afternoon sky. Sophia appeared, thrust a bulletproof vest into my arms. Put this on. Now. What's happening? They found us. She was checking weapons with mechanical efficiency. This woman who managed households and apparently warfare with equal competence. Marco's making a stand. You need to hide. Where? She pointed to a panel in the floor I hadn't noticed, disguised as part of the hardwood pattern. Panic room. It's reinforced. Bullets can't penetrate. Get in and don't come out until someone comes for you. What about Marco? Sophia looked at me then. Really looked, and I saw something in her eyes that made my stomach drop. Not pity, understanding. Like she'd been where I was standing, once upon a time. Marco does what he always does, she said quietly. He wins or he dies. Nothing in between. The shooting started before I could argue. I dove for the panel as the windows exploded inward, glass raining down like crystal tears, and the last thing I saw before the darkness swallowed me was Sophia raising her gun with the calm efficiency of someone who'd done this 1,000 times before. The darkness in the panic room was absolute. I could hear everything, the gunfire above like percussion, erratic and violent, footsteps, shouting in Italian and English, something heavy hitting the floor. The sound a body makes when it stops being a person and becomes just weight. I pressed my hands over my ears and counted. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, like I was a child again. hiding from thunderstorms in my mother's closet, pretending the counting could make the scary things go away. It lasted 7 minutes, felt like 7 lifetimes. Then, silence. The kind of silence that rings in your ears, that feels louder than the noise that came before it. I waited, barely breathing, every muscle locked tight. The panel above me opened. Light flooded in, blinding after the darkness. Marco's face appeared, backlit by emergency lights, blood streaming from a cut above his eye. His shirt was torn, revealing more of those tattoos, names and dates and scripture that told stories I didn't know how to read. "You can come out now." He pulled me up with one hand, and I saw the room behind him. Shattered glass everywhere, catching the light like scattered diamonds, bullet holes in the walls forming constellations of violence. 2 bodies on the floor, men I didn't recognize, faces I'd never forget. "Don't look," Marco said, turning my face toward his chest. But it was too late. I'd already seen. "Are they?" "Yes." His voice was matter-of-fact, devoid of emotion. "They came with orders to take you. They failed." I should have felt relief, should have felt grateful. Instead, I just felt numb, like my body had decided feelings were too dangerous and shut them all down. "How many more are there?" "Enough." He guided me toward the door, his hand on my lower back, proprietorial and protective in equal measure. This was just the first wave, testing our defenses. The real attack comes tonight. "Tonight?" I stopped walking. "Marco, we can't run anymore." His jaw was set. That particular kind of determination that looked like resignation wearing a different face. "They know where we are. They know how to find us. Running just means dying tired." Sophia appeared in the hallway, a streak of blood across her cheek that I desperately hoped wasn't hers. She nodded at Marco, some unspoken communication passing between them. "The surveillance footage," she said. "You need to see it." We followed her to a room I hadn't known existed, all screens and computers. A command center hidden behind what I'd thought was just another expensive penthouse. She pulled up video, time-stamped from this morning. The footage showed the building's lobby. My father walked in, not tied up, not beaten, not the terrified man from the video, just walking, in a suit I recognized, looking exactly like the lawyer he'd always been. He went straight to the elevator, used a code to access it. He gave them the address, I whispered. He told them where to find me. Not just that. Marco fast-forwarded the footage. "Watch." My father met with someone in the lobby, a younger man I didn't recognize at first. Then he turned toward the camera, and I saw his face clearly. Alex, my ex-boyfriend, the one who'd locked me in apartments and called it love, the one I'd climbed out a bathroom window to escape, the one whose family name I'd learned too late was Moretti. "Your father's been working with them all along," Marco said quietly. "The video they sent, the beating, it was staged. He's not a prisoner, Claire. He's a collaborator." I watched my father shake Alex's hand, watched them laugh about something, watched my father point up, toward the upper floors, toward where I'd been sleeping. The betrayal was so complete it circled back around to something almost like clarity. Of course he'd sold me twice, once to the Morettis years ago, once to Marco as bait. He'd been playing both sides, collecting payments from everyone, and I'd been too naive, too desperate for his love to see it. "I want to see him," I said. Marco studied my face. "Why?" "Because I need to hear him say it." I met his eyes, felt something hard and cold settling into my chest where warmth used to live. I need to hear him admit what he did. That's dangerous, emotional, could compromise. "You promised me honesty." My voice didn't shake. "I'm promising you closure. Let me face him. Let me end this part of the story so we can write the next one." Something in Marco's expression shifted. Not softening exactly, but recognition. Like he understood the need to look your demons in the face before you could kill them. "He's not here," he said finally. "But I know where he'll be tonight." "Where?" "The meeting. Midnight. The warehouse district." He pulled up another message on his phone. "They're demanding an exchange. You for a promise of peace. But it's a trap. They'll kill us both the moment they have leverage. So we spring the trap first." Marco almost smiled. "You're learning." I had a good teacher. I looked at the screens, at the footage of my father's betrayal playing on loop. What's the plan? The plan is you stay here, protected, while I... No. The word came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't soften it. No more hiding. No more being the thing everyone fights over while I wait in darkness. You want to end this? Then let me help end it. Claire, you said I needed to tell you everything about my father, about the Morettis. I stepped closer, invaded his space the way he'd invaded mine. Well, I know things. I know Alex. I know how he thinks, how he operates, what makes him feel powerful. I lived with his violence for 6 months. I learned to read him like a survival manual. Marco was quiet, calculating. I could see the strategist in him warring with whatever instinct made him want to keep me locked away and safe. What do you know? He finally asked. I know he keeps an office in every property he owns. Southwest corner, always. He thinks it's strategic, best sight lines, hardest to breach. I thought back to those terrible months, remembered details I'd tried to forget. I know he's obsessed with control, with having leverage. He'll have files, insurance, evidence against everyone he works with, including my father, including, probably, you. Marco's eyes sharpened. What kind of evidence? The kind that could put you in federal prison for the rest of your life. I held his gaze. And I know where he'd keep it. Not digitally. He doesn't trust technology. Physical files, hidden behind a false wall that looks like electrical panels. How do you know this? Because I helped him install it, before I understood what I was helping him hide. The weight of that confession hung between us. Marco looked at me differently now, not as a liability or a piece on his chessboard, but as someone who understood the same darkness he lived in, someone who'd survived by learning the language of dangerous men. If we do this, Marco said slowly, if I take you into that warehouse tonight, you follow my orders exactly. No improvisation, no heroics. You do what I say, when I say it, or people die. Possibly you, definitely me. I understand. Do you? He grabbed my shoulders, not rough but firm, making sure I couldn't look away. This isn't a movie, Claire. There's no guarantee of happy endings. People I trust might betray me. Plans might fall apart. You might watch me die in front of you, and there won't be anything cinematic or noble about it. Just blood and finality. I watched my father sell me on camera. I think I can handle reality. Something in his face cracked then. The careful control, the strategic distance. He pulled me against him, one hand in my hair, the other pressed against my spine. And for a moment, we just stood there. Two people who'd been weapons for too long, learning what it felt like to be human in each other's arms. If this goes wrong, he said against my hair, if they get to you before I can stop them, then I'll fight back. I pulled away enough to see his face. You taught me that. You gave me permission to be dangerous. His phone buzzed. He read the message, and I watched his expression harden back into the mask of the strategist, the killer, the man who won or died with nothing in between. They moved up the timeline, he said. Meetings in 6 hours. Then we have 6 hours to prepare. He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. Sal, he called out. An older man appeared, the one from the yacht, silver-haired and armed, wearing a cardigan that made him look like someone's grandfather until you saw his eyes. Teach her to shoot, Marco said. She needs to know how to kill someone if she has to. Sal looked between us. Something like approval in his expression. This way, Mrs. Russo. I followed him to a room in the basement. A gun range. Fully equipped. Soundproofed. He handed me a pistol. Smaller than Marco's, but still heavy with potential. First rule, he said. Never point it at anything you don't intend to destroy. I held the gun, felt its weight, felt something inside me shift and settle. This was power, real power. Not the kind granted by men or taken away by them, but the kind you held in your own hands. Show me, I said. For the next 5 hours, Sal taught me everything. How to load, how to aim, how to breathe through the recoil, how to make the decision to pull the trigger before you ever raise the gun, because hesitation gets you killed. I practiced until my hands stopped shaking, until the target at the end of the range had a cluster of holes right where a heart would be. When Marco came to find me, I was reloading for the 100th time. muscle memory taking over where fear used to live. He watched me fire 3 shots in quick succession. Watch them all hit center mass. "You're a natural," he said quietly. "Or I'm just tired of being afraid." He handed me a bulletproof vest, helped me put it on, his fingers careful with the straps. "Last chance to stay here, to let me handle this." We're past last chances. I checked my gun one more time, the way Sal had taught me. "Let's go end this." Marco's phone buzzed one final time. He read it, and something in his face went cold. "They sent proof of life," he said, turning the screen toward me. The video showed my father and Alex standing together in what looked like the warehouse, but between them, tied to a chair, was someone I hadn't expected to see. Jenna, my best friend, the one they'd promised to leave alone, the one who was supposed to be safe, and Alex was holding a gun to her head. "Midnight," his voice came through the phone speaker. "You and Claire, no weapons, no backup, or I paint these walls with her brain." The video cut off. I looked at Marco, felt something inside me crystallize into pure, cold determination. Now it's personal. The warehouse district at night looked like the set of every nightmare I'd ever had. Abandoned buildings with broken windows like missing teeth, streetlights that flickered more than they illuminated, shadows that moved with intention. Marco drove in silence. His jaw set in that way I'd learned meant he was 3 steps ahead, planning for variables I couldn't see. Sal was in the back seat, checking weapons with the methodical care of someone performing a sacred ritual. 2 other cars followed at a distance, close enough to help, far enough to avoid detection. Or so Marco said. I wasn't sure I believed in help anymore. Wasn't sure I believed in anything except the weight of the gun hidden beneath my jacket, and the image of Jenna's terrified face burned into my retinas. "They'll search you," Marco said, breaking the silence. "Take the gun, they'll expect it, find it, feel superior. They won't look for the second one." He handed me another pistol, smaller, easily concealed. Showed me where to hide it, against my lower back, held by the waistband of my jeans, covered by my jacket. His fingers were clinical, professional, but I felt the slight tremor in them. He was scared. Maybe not for himself, but for me. The realization made something in my chest tighten. What if I can't do it? I asked quietly, what if when the moment comes I freeze? Then I do it for you. He met my eyes in the rearview mirror. But you won't freeze. You didn't climb out that bathroom window because you were a coward, Claire. You climbed out because you knew staying meant dying slowly. Tonight's the same choice, just faster. The warehouse loomed ahead. Imperial shipping. The faded red letters exactly as I remembered from that night with Alex 2 years ago. The night he'd brought me here, said it was family business. Made me wait in the car while he disappeared inside for an hour. I'd thought he was being protective. Now I understood he'd been hiding me from the reality of what his family really did. We parked 2 blocks away, approached on foot, Marco's hand on my elbow, guiding but not controlling. Sal melted into the shadows, and I understood this was strategic. They needed to see us arrive alone, needed to feel like they'd won before we could prove otherwise. The warehouse door was open, waiting. We stepped inside, and the smell hit me first. Rust and mildew and something organic decomposing in corners I didn't want to investigate. Industrial lights hung from chains, swaying slightly, casting shadows that danced like ghosts. "Welcome!" Alex's voice echoed through the cavernous space before I saw him. "Right on time. I've always appreciated punctuality in a woman, Claire. You remember that, don't you? How I valued your obedience." He stepped into the light, and I barely recognized him. He'd gotten harder, meaner. The softness that had once made him seem charming now revealed as weakness wearing a mask. Behind him, at least a dozen men formed a semicircle, all armed, all watching with the dead-eyed focus of people who killed for a living. And in the center, tied to a chair exactly like my father had been in that video, was Jenna. Her face was bruised, mascara tracked down her cheeks, but her eyes, God, her eyes were furious, not broken, not defeated, angry. When she saw me, something flickered across her face, relief and horror mixed together, like she was grateful I'd come and devastated I'd walked into a trap. "Let her go," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "This is between us. She has nothing to do with your war, but she has everything to do with you." Alex moved closer, and I saw Marco tense beside me, calculating distances, angles, probabilities. And you have everything to do with breaking our agreement. We didn't have an agreement. You locked me in an apartment and called it love. I protected you. His mask slipped, just for a second, and I saw the same rage I remembered, the same entitlement that said I was his property, his right, his possession. I gave you everything, and you repaid me by climbing out a window like some common whore, by running, by embarrassing me in front of my family. So this is about your ego. I took a step forward, felt Marco's hand tighten on my arm in warning, but I shook it off. You're willing to start a war, kidnap an innocent woman, orchestrate this entire production because I damaged your pride. Pride is everything. Alex was shouting now, control fraying. In our world, reputation is survival. You made me look weak, made me look like I couldn't even keep one woman in line. Maybe that's because I'm not a dog to be trained. The slap came fast, connected with my cheek hard enough to snap my head sideways. I tasted copper, heard Marco move, heard guns cock all around us, heard Jenna scream my name. But I didn't fall, didn't cower. Just turned back to face Alex with blood on my lip and something cold and certain in my chest. Is that all you have? I asked quietly. After 2 years of planning, of watching me, of orchestrating Vegas and manipulating my father, is this all you are? A man who hits women and calls it power? Alex's face went purple. He raised his hand again, but a voice from the shadows stopped him. Enough. My father stepped into the light, and I felt something inside me crack open. Not with love or longing, but with the simple, terrible clarity of finally seeing someone for exactly what they were. Dad, I said flatly, come to watch your investment pay off? He had the audacity to look hurt. Claire, you have to understand, the debts I had, the pressure, $500,000. I cut him off, my voice sharp as broken glass. That's what they paid you to deliver me to Vegas. To make sure I was drunk enough, vulnerable enough to sign whatever Marco put in front of me. You sold me like livestock, and you're standing there asking me to understand. It was the only way to keep you safe. His voice cracked, almost convincing if I didn't know better. The Morettis would have killed us both if I didn't cooperate. This was protection. Protection. I laughed, the sound harsh in the warehouse acoustics. You call setting me up to be bait in a Mafia war protection. You call watching them beat you on camera. Oh wait, that was stage 2, wasn't it? You call all of this protection. The silence that followed was damning. My father couldn't meet my eyes. She knows, Alex said, almost gleeful. Your own daughter figured it out. Maybe she's smarter than both of us gave her credit for. Or maybe I just learned to recognize predators. I looked at Alex, then my father, then the men surrounding us with guns and dead eyes. You're all the same. You think power is control? Think violence is strength? Think owning people is the same as mattering to them? Touching speech, Alex said. Really, very therapeutic. Now, let's discuss terms. You, Claire, are going to come with us. Your husband, he spat the word like poison, is going to walk away and forget you exist. And your friend here gets to live, provided everyone cooperates. And if we don't, Marco spoke for the first time, his voice dangerously calm, then we kill all 3 of you and burn this place to the ground with your bodies inside. Alex shrugged. I'm flexible. I felt Marco's hand brush against mine, a signal I didn't understand. Then his fingers tapped 3 times against my palm. Some kind of code. Some kind of countdown. I have a counterproposal, I said, buying time. You let Jenna go, now. You let her walk out of here and I'll stay. I'll be whatever you need me to be. Leverage, hostage, message, but she goes free. Claire, no. Jenna's voice broke. Don't you dare. Interesting, Alex mused. Sacrificing yourself for a friend? Very noble, very stupid. He walked over to Jenna, ran his fingers through her hair in a gesture that made my skin crawl. But why would I give up 2 pieces of leverage when I can keep both? Because keeping both means you're afraid. I met his eyes, channeled every ounce of confidence I didn't feel. Afraid that one hostage isn't enough to control Marco. Afraid that your power is so fragile it requires an audience. Let her go, Alex. Prove you're strong enough to keep me without backup. I saw it land, the challenge to his ego. The same weakness I'd learned to exploit when we were together. His need to prove himself, to be seen as powerful, to never back down from a dare. "Fine," he said finally. "She walks, but you stay. And if your husband tries anything at all, we start mailing him pieces of you." 2 of his men moved to untie Jenna. She fought them, screaming at me, but they dragged her toward the door. Our eyes met across the warehouse, and I tried to communicate everything I couldn't say. "I'm sorry. Be safe. Tell my story if I don't survive this." The door slammed behind her. The sound echoed like a cell door closing. "Now then," Alex said, pulling out a gun and pointing it casually at my head. "Let's discuss the future. Your future in our organization. Starting with you getting on your knees and apologizing for every moment of disrespect. The lights went out. Absolute darkness. Chaos erupted, shouting, running footsteps, the distinctive crack of gunfire. I dropped to the ground like Marco had taught me, felt rather than saw him move beside me with lethal efficiency. Emergency lights flickered on, red and strobing. In the fractured illumination, I saw Sal and his team pouring in from entrances I hadn't known existed. Saw Marco moving through Alex's men like a force of nature, controlled and devastating. Saw my father trying to run, trying to disappear into shadows that wouldn't hide him. And I saw Alex, turning toward me with his gun raised and his face twisted with rage. And I understood in that crystalline moment that he was going to shoot me. Not as strategy, not as leverage. Just because he could. Because I dared to leave him, to survive him, to become something more than his victim. I pulled the hidden gun from my waistband, raised it with hands that didn't shake. Remembered Sal's voice. "Never point it at anything you don't intend to destroy." "Claire, don't!" My father's voice, desperate. "He's not worth it. You'll have to live with—" "I'm already living with surviving him once," I said quietly. "I can live with ending him now." Alex laughed, the sound unhinged. "You won't do it. You're not like us. You're still that good girl who climbs out windows instead of fighting back." "You're right," I said. "I'm not like you." I pulled the trigger. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Alex looked surprised, more than anything. Looked down at the bloom of red spreading across his chest. Looked back up at me with something almost like respect in his dying eyes. "You learned?" he whispered, and fell. The gunfire around us stopped. Marco was suddenly beside me, taking the gun from my shaking hands, pulling me against him. "It's over," he said into my hair. "It's over." But as the red emergency lights continued their strobing dance, as Sal's men rounded up the survivors, as my father was dragged past me sobbing and I felt nothing, no pity, no love, no connection, I understood Marco was wrong. It wasn't over, because standing in the doorway, backlit by the streetlights outside, was a figure I recognized from surveillance photos. Vincent Moretti, the man in the white suit, the real power behind everything, and he was smiling. "Excellent performance," he said, clapping slowly. "Truly moving. But did you really think we'd make it that easy?" He pulled out a phone, pressed a button, and somewhere in the warehouse, I heard a sound that made my blood turn to ice. Ticking. "You have 3 minutes to find the bomb," Vincent said pleasantly. "Or this entire block becomes a crater. Good luck, Mrs. Russo. You're going to need it. 3 minutes." The word became my entire universe. Not time passing, but time running out. Each second, a door slamming shut on possibility. Marco's hand was iron around my wrist, pulling me toward the back of the warehouse while his mind worked at speeds I couldn't match. "Sal." He barked into the radio clipped to his vest. "Get everyone out. 2-block radius. Now." "What about the bomb?" Sal's voice crackled back, steady despite the chaos. "I'll find it." "Marco, that's suicide." "That's an order." Around us, men were scattering like roaches when the lights come on. Alex's crew, Marco's people, even my father being dragged toward the exit by 2 of Sal's men. Only Vincent remained perfectly still in the doorway, watching our panic with the detached interest of someone observing an experiment. "You can't defuse it," Vincent called out pleasantly. I made sure of that. Military-grade, remote detonation backup, enough C4 to level everything in a 300-foot radius. But please, feel free to try. I do enjoy watching people realize they're helpless. Marco ignored him. already moving deeper into the warehouse, pulling me with him. His eyes scanned every surface, every corner. That predator focus I'd learned to recognize now turned on something I couldn't see. "Why are you looking back here?" I gasped, trying to keep up. Wouldn't he plant it near the entrance? Where we came in? He wants maximum casualties. That means he planted it where we'd run to, not where we entered. Marco kicked open a door to what looked like an old office. He's been planning this longer than tonight. He knew we'd have backup, knew we'd try to evacuate. The bomb isn't meant to kill us. It's meant to kill everyone who tries to save us. The logic was sound and horrifying. I thought of Sal's team, of the men who'd fought for us, now running directly toward their deaths if we didn't. There. Marco pointed to a support beam in the center of the space. Something was strapped to it, wrapped in black canvas. Digital display glowing red through the fabric. 2 minutes, 40 seconds. We ran. Marco pulled out a knife, started cutting through the canvas with movements that were surgical despite the time constraint. The device underneath made my stomach drop. Wires and colors I couldn't distinguish in the red emergency lighting, circuit boards that looked like alien technology, and that display counting down with mechanical indifference. 2 minutes, 15 seconds. "I can't defuse this," Marco said quietly. Not defeated, just honest. "It's beyond my skill set. We need to get it away from the building, away from people. How far can we get in 2 minutes?" He looked at me and I saw the calculation in his eyes, saw him measuring distance and speed and probability, saw him reaching a conclusion that made his jaw tighten. Not far enough, not both of us, no. The word came out sharp, absolute. "Don't you dare. Don't you dare play hero and tell me to run while you—" "Claire, we survive together or we die together." I grabbed his jacket, forced him to look at me. "That's my rule, the one I'm adding right now. You don't get to sacrifice yourself and call it protection." Something in his face cracked. Not his control, something deeper. The armor he wore that kept the world at a distance. For just a second, I saw the man underneath the monster, the boy who'd learned to be a weapon before he'd learned to be human. "I don't know how to let people die for me," he said quietly. "Then it's time you learned." I released his jacket, looked at the bomb. 1 minute, 45 seconds. "Can we move it?" "It's magnetic, attached to the steel beam. I'd need tools I don't have, time we don't have." His radio crackled. He answered without looking away from me. "Sal, status. Building's clear. 3 blocks in every direction. Police are setting up a perimeter. Vincent Moretti's gone, disappeared like smoke." Marco's jaw tightened. Of course Vincent had left. He'd never intended to be here for the finale. Just wanted to watch us scramble? Wanted to prove that even our victories were really his defeats waiting to happen? "There has to be something," I said, looking around the room desperately. "Some way to contain the blast. Redirect it. Something." My eyes landed on the floor. Old warehouse. Old construction. I'd seen buildings like this in my brief, failed architecture phase freshman year. Pre-war industrial spaces built with redundancy. With basement, I said suddenly. These warehouses have basements. Sub-level storage for materials that needed climate control. If we could get the bomb down there, the blast would be directed into the earth instead of out. Marco stared at me. 1 minute, 20 seconds. "How do you know that?" "Because Alex brought me here 2 years ago." I was scared, paying attention to details to stay calm. "There's an access panel somewhere near the loading dock." We ran. Marco half carrying the device now, cradling it against his chest like something precious instead of lethal. I found the loading dock through muscle memory and terror. Found the panel exactly where I remembered. Rusted shut from years of disuse. "Stand back," Marco said. He kicked it. Once. Twice. The third time, the panel gave way with a shriek of protesting metal. Below, I could see stairs descending into absolute darkness. 55 seconds. "I'll take it down," Marco said. "You run. Get as far as—" We both go or neither of us does. "Claire, move." We descended together, the stairs treacherous and steep, my phone flashlight barely cutting the darkness. The basement was exactly as I'd remembered. Concrete walls, low ceiling, old crates covered in decades of dust. Marco set the bomb in the corner farthest from the stairs, most protected by the support structure. 30 seconds. We ran back up. My lungs burned. My legs screamed. Behind me, I could hear Marco's breathing, harsh and controlled, could feel the heat of him at my back. We made it to the main floor. 20 seconds. "The door," Marco shouted. "The loading dock door. It's steel. It'll provide cover." We dove behind it together. Marco's body covered mine, his weight pressing me into the concrete, his arms creating a cage around my head. I could feel his heart hammering against my spine, could smell the sweat and gunpowder and fear on him. "Whatever happens," he said against my ear, "you were the best mistake I ever made." 10 seconds. "Marco, 5. I love you." 0. The world exploded. Not the building, contained like I'd hoped. The blast channeled downward and into the earth. But the sound was apocalyptic, the shockwave physical, throwing us forward even behind the steel door. My ears rang. Dust and debris rained down. The emergency lights shattered, plunging everything into darkness. Then, silence. I couldn't hear anything except the ringing in my ears. Couldn't see anything except darkness and floating dust particles. Couldn't feel anything except Marco's weight on top of me. Solid and real and, "Are you alive?" I tried to say, but I couldn't hear my own voice. He moved, slowly, checking himself first, then me, hands running over my arms, my legs, searching for injuries with professional efficiency that became something gentler when he cupped my face. His mouth moved. I couldn't hear the words, but I could read his lips in the dim light filtering through the shattered doorway. "You're okay. We're okay." Outside, sirens, footsteps, shouting, Sal's voice cutting through the chaos, demanding to know if we'd survived. Marco helped me stand, supported my weight when my legs threatened to give out, and together we stumbled toward the light. The warehouse was a disaster. Walls cracked, ceiling partially collapsed, the floor above the basement completely gone. But we'd contained it. The surrounding buildings stood intact. No civilian casualties, just property damage and 2 people covered in dust and blood that might not even be theirs. Sal grabbed Marco, checked him over with the frantic energy of someone who'd thought he'd lost a brother. Then he turned to me, and his eyes were wet. "You saved him," he said simply. "You saved all of us." But I wasn't looking at Sal. I was looking at Marco, at the way he was staring at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Like I'd transformed from a chess piece into a player, from a victim into a survivor, from his wife in name into something he didn't have words for yet. "What you said," I whispered, my hearing slowly returning. "Before the bomb. Did you mean it?" His answer was to kiss me. Not gentle, not careful. Desperate and honest and tasting like dust and survival and promises that maybe, possibly, we could keep. When he pulled back, his hands were still shaking. "I meant every word," he said. "And I'm terrified of what that means." "Good," I said, "because I think I might love you too, and I'm absolutely furious about it." He laughed, actually laughed. The sound was hoarse and genuine and the most beautiful thing I'd heard in my entire life. Around us, emergency vehicles arrived, paramedics, police, federal agents in suits that screamed FBI. One of them approached Marco with the kind of swagger that suggested he'd been waiting for this moment. "Marco Russo," he said, pulling out handcuffs. "You're under arrest for—" "Actually," a voice interrupted, "he's under my protection." We all turned. A woman stood at the perimeter, 50s, gray suit, the kind of face that had seen everything and been impressed by nothing. She held up a badge that made the FBI agent go pale. Special Agent Victoria Chen, DOJ Organized Crime Task Force. She walked toward us with measured steps. "Mr. Russo has been a confidential informant for my department for the past 18 months. Everything he's done, every operation, has been under my supervision and with full federal immunity." The world tilted. I looked at Marco. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "You're a rat?" One of Alex's surviving men spat from where he sat in handcuffs. "You've been feeding information to the feds?" "I've been ending a war," Marco said quietly. "The only way I knew how," Agent Chen continued, relentless. "The Moretti family will be dismantled by sunrise. We have enough evidence to prosecute everyone from Vincent down to the street-level dealers. It's over." She turned to me, and something in her expression softened. "Mrs. Russo, I owe you an apology." Using you as bait without your knowledge or consent was unconscionable, but your husband insisted it was the only way to draw them out, to get enough evidence for prosecution. He was right. You knew, I said to Marco, my voice hollow. In Vegas, you knew everything. The contract, the marriage, all of it. You were working with the FBI the whole time. I was trying to protect you. By lying. By using me exactly the way they did. By making sure you survived. His control finally shattered completely. Yes, I lied. Yes, I manipulated you. Yes, I used our marriage as cover to infiltrate the Morettis and gather evidence. But everything I did, every choice I made, was to ensure you'd live through this. That wasn't your decision to make. Someone had to make it. Because you walked into that chapel drunk and beautiful and so desperate to matter that you signed away 6 months to a stranger. Someone had to make sure those 6 months didn't end with you in pieces. The silence between us was louder than the explosion had been. Agent Chen cleared her throat. We can discuss the details later. Right now, you both need medical attention. And Mr. Russo, you need to come with me for debriefing. No, I said. Everyone looked at me. No, he doesn't go anywhere until he answers one question. I stepped closer to Marco, close enough to see the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight of 18 months of living a double life, of protecting people who'd never know and couldn't thank him. Did you ever plan to tell me the truth? He looked at me for a long moment. Then, with the same honesty he'd promised me from the beginning, no, because the truth would have put you in more danger, would have made you a liability to both sides. I was going to let you hate me, let you think I was the monster, if it meant you stayed alive and free. That's not protection, I said softly. That's a cage with better lighting. I know. His voice broke. I know, and I don't know how to be anything else. Around us, the machinery of justice and cleanup continued. But in that moment, it was just us. Two people who'd survived an explosion, a war, and the terrible revelation that sometimes the person trying to save you is also the one taking away your choice. Mrs. Russo, Agent Chen said gently. Do you need a ride somewhere? We can arrange protection if she stays with me, Marco said. Actually, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I make my own decisions about where I go and who I stay with. I looked at Marco. At this man who'd killed for me, lied to me, loved me in the only broken way he knew how. I need time, I said, to process this, to figure out who I am when I'm not running or hiding or playing a role in someone else's plan. How much time? I don't know. Maybe all 6 months of our contract, maybe longer, maybe... My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered because everything else had been a trap. Why not this too? Claire Hartley. A woman's voice. Professional and cold. Yes, this is Mercy General Hospital. Your father was brought in 20 minutes ago. He's asking for you. You should come quickly. He doesn't have much time. The line went dead. I looked at Marco, at Agent Chen, at the ruins of the warehouse and the remains of a war I hadn't chosen but had somehow won. My father's dying, I said, and I don't know if I want to say goodbye or watch him suffer. Is that terrible? Marco took my hand, squeezed once. It's honest, he said, and maybe that's the only thing either of us has left to give each other. The hospital smelled like every hospital, antiseptic trying to mask decay, hope trying to cover despair. My shoes squeaked against linoleum that had seen too many people walk toward endings they couldn't prevent. Marco walked beside me, close enough that our arms brushed with each step, far enough that I could breathe without drowning in him. Agent Chen had offered protection, a safe house, time to decompress before facing my father. But I'd refused because some things couldn't be postponed, couldn't be processed or prepared for. Some things you just had to walk into bleeding and see what happened. You don't have to do this, Marco said for the 3rd time. You don't owe him closure. I'm not doing it for him. The nurse at the station gave us a room number without asking questions. Maybe she'd seen enough strange reunions, enough complicated grief, to know better than to judge. We rode the elevator in silence, watching the numbers climb, watching the space between us fill with everything we hadn't said and maybe never would. Room 447. The door was partially open. Inside, machines beeped with mechanical regularity, measuring a life that was counting down just as surely as that bomb had. My father lay in the bed, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. The man who'd loomed large in my childhood now reduced to something fragile and finite. His eyes opened when he heard us, focused on me with an intensity that made me want to turn and run, made me want to stay and rage, made me want to feel something other than this terrible, hollow emptiness. "Claire," he whispered. His voice was raw, damaged. "You came? Don't." I stepped into the room but kept my distance. Kept the bed between us like a moat. "Don't act like this is a touching reunion. Don't act like you're some dying father reaching out to his estranged daughter. You lost that right when you sold me. I was trying to protect you. By setting me up. By orchestrating Vegas. By feeding information to the Morettis. By watching them hunt me like I was prey." I heard my voice rising. Couldn't stop it. "That's not protection, Dad. That's participation." He closed his eyes. A tear tracked down his cheek. And I felt nothing. No sympathy. No forgiveness. Just the cold, hard clarity of someone who'd finally stopped lying to herself about who her father was. "I was in debt," he said. "After your mother died, the medical bills, the funeral, I couldn't keep up. The Morettis offered help, said all I had to do was provide information, legal advice. Nothing illegal, they said. Nothing that would hurt anyone. But it did hurt someone. Me. I didn't know they wanted you specifically. Not at first." He opened his eyes again, and I saw genuine anguish there. Or maybe I just wanted to see it. Wanted to believe some part of him had loved me once. By the time I understood what they planned, I was already in too deep. They owned me. Every choice I'd ever made, every case I'd worked, they had evidence. If I refused, I'd lose everything. My career, my freedom, my life. So you chose yourself. I chose survival. His voice gained strength, turned defensive. "You don't understand the pressure, the fear, the impossibility of those choices. They would have killed me, Claire. Killed me and then come for you anyway. At least this way, I could monitor the situation. Could try to steer it towards something less catastrophic." Marco spoke for the first time, his voice like gravel. "You steered it toward your daughter marrying a stranger in Vegas and getting hunted by the Morettis. If that's your idea of protection, I'd hate to see what abandonment looks like." My father's eyes shifted to Marco, and something complex moved across his face. Not hatred. Something closer to recognition. "You're the one who made the deal with the FBI," he said. "The one who's been feeding them information for 18 months. Yes. Then you used her too. Used our marriage as cover." My father actually laughed, the sound bitter and wet. "You're no better than me. You just have a badge to hide behind. The difference," Marco said quietly, stepping closer to the bed with predatory grace, "is that I would have died before letting them touch her. Can you say the same?" The silence was answer enough. I looked at my father, really looked, and tried to find the man who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd read me bedtime stories in different character voices, who'd cried at my high school graduation. Tried to reconcile that memory with the man in the bed who'd sold me for $500,000 and called it survival. "What happened to you?" I asked. Not accusatory, just genuinely curious. "When did you become this person?" "I've always been this person," he said. "I just hid it better when your mother was alive. She made me want to be the man she thought I was. After she died." He trailed off, staring at the ceiling. "After she died, there didn't seem to be a point in pretending anymore. So you just gave up. Gave up on being decent, on being my father, on being anything except scared and selfish." Yes. The admission was simple, devastating. I gave up, and I'm sorry. I know that's not enough. I know sorry doesn't fix what I broke or give you back what I took, but it's all I have left to offer. I wanted to rage at him. Wanted to grab his shoulders and shake him until he understood the magnitude of what he'd done, the life he'd derailed, the trust he'd shattered. But looking at him now, dying, diminished, already half gone, I realized rage was too generous. Rage implied he still mattered enough to hurt me. Rage meant I still cared. "I forgive you," I said. Both Marco and my father looked at me in shock. "Claire, not because you deserve it. Not because what you did was forgivable." I moved closer to the bed now, close enough to see the fear in his eyes, the desperate hope that maybe, impossibly, I meant it. I forgive you because carrying hate for you would mean giving you space in my life you no longer deserve. I forgive you so I can stop thinking about you. So I can move forward without dragging your sins behind me like chains. That's not forgiveness, my father whispered. That's dismissal. Maybe there's not much difference. I turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I'm sorry Mom died. I'm sorry you couldn't figure out how to survive losing her without losing yourself. And I'm sorry that the last thing you'll know about me is that I'm stronger than you ever gave me credit for. Claire. Wait. His voice was fading. Each word an effort. There's something you need to know about the Morettis, about why they wanted you specifically. I stopped. Turned back. I already know. I'm leverage. I'm a message. I'm whatever they needed me to be to get to Marco. No. He struggled to sit up, failed, fell back against the pillows. It's more than that. Your mother, she knew things about their organization. She was going to testify. That's why they killed her. The floor disappeared beneath me. What? The car accident. It wasn't an accident. The Morettis arranged it because she was going to bring down their entire operation. I tried to stop her, tried to make her understand the danger, but she wouldn't listen. She said some things were worth dying for. He was crying now, genuine tears, but I couldn't process them. They killed her. And then they owned me because I knew the truth and didn't tell it. Because I chose silence over justice. Over her. Marco's hand was suddenly on my arm, steadying me, anchoring me to reality while everything I thought I knew rearranged itself into a new, more terrible pattern. How did Mom know about the Morettis? My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. She was a forensic accountant. She found discrepancies in accounts I was managing for them. She connected the dots, and instead of staying quiet like any sane person would, she went to the FBI. My father's breathing was labored now, the machines around him beeping faster. She was brave. Brave in a way I never could be, and they murdered her for it. And I let them. Because I was a coward then, and I'm a coward now. And dying doesn't change that. I felt like I was floating outside my body, watching this scene from somewhere far away. My mother hadn't died in a random accident. She'd been killed, murdered, for trying to do the right thing. And my father had known, had stayed silent, had let me believe it was just bad luck, just tragedy, just the random cruelty of the universe instead of calculated murder. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Because you deserve to know. And because the Morettis aren't finished. Vincent Moretti is still out there, and as long as he is, you're in danger. Not because of Marco, because of your mother. Because you're her daughter. And in their minds, that makes you unfinished business. Marco pulled out his phone, started typing rapidly. Agent Chen needs to know this. If the Morettis killed a potential federal witness... She wasn't official yet, my father interrupted. She hadn't made a formal statement. That's why they thought they could get away with it. Why they did get away with it. Until now, Marco said grimly. With this testimony, with everything we've gathered tonight, we can reopen the case. We can finally give your mother justice. Will it bring her back? I heard myself ask. The question was rhetorical, bitter, the kind of thing you say when you know the answer but need to hear it anyway. My father reached toward me, his hand shaking. I didn't take it. Couldn't. I loved her, he said. I loved you both. But love didn't make me brave, didn't make me strong. It just made me aware of everything I had to lose. And that fear killed me long before this cancer did. You have cancer? Stage 4? Pancreatic? The doctors give me days, maybe hours. He smiled weakly. The Morettis didn't even have to finish the job. My own body's doing it for them. There should have been satisfaction in that, cosmic justice, karma, whatever you wanted to call it. But I felt nothing except exhausted, wrung out. Like I'd been holding my breath for 3 years and only now realized I could exhale. I have to go, I said. I have to think about this. Process it. Figure out what to do with information I never wanted and can't unknow. Claire, please. His voice broke. Don't leave like this. Don't let the last thing between us be anger and distance. Tell me you understand. That you know I did the best I could, even if my best wasn't good enough. I looked at him for a long moment. Saw the man who'd failed my mother, failed me, failed himself in every way that mattered, saw the fear in his eyes that he'd die alone, unforgiven, unmissed, and I felt something shift inside me. Not forgiveness. I'd already given him that in the only form I could, but something like release, like finally setting down a weight I'd been carrying so long I'd forgotten what it felt like to stand up straight. "I understand that you were human," I said quietly. "Flawed and scared and weak in all the ways people can be. I understand that you loved Mom and you loved me, but love wasn't enough to make you better than your fear. And I understand that's not your fault. Exactly. That circumstances and choices and 1,000 small moments of cowardice added up to this." I moved closer to the bed, placed my hand over his, felt the papery skin, the bones too prominent, the tremor of a body shutting down. But understanding doesn't erase what you did, doesn't make it okay, doesn't mean I'll carry your guilt or take responsibility for your choices. You'll die knowing you failed us. And I'll live knowing I survived despite you, not because of you. That's the truth. It's not pretty or redemptive or anything like the deathbed reconciliation you probably imagined. But it's honest. Tears streamed down his face. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I know. And that matters. Not enough to fix anything, but it matters." I squeezed his hand once, then let go. Marco was waiting by the door. I walked toward him, toward the future, toward whatever came next. Behind me, I heard my father's voice, weak and fading. "Claire, your mother would be proud of who you've become, proud of your strength. I just wanted you to know that." I didn't turn around, didn't acknowledge it, just kept walking. We made it to the elevator before I collapsed. Marco caught me, held me while I didn't cry, couldn't cry, just shook with the force of emotions I didn't have names for. Grief and rage and relief and guilt, all tangled together until I couldn't tell where one ended and another began. "I should feel something," I whispered against his chest. "He's dying. He's my father. I should feel devastated or broken or something other than this nothing." "You feel what you feel," Marco said, his hand steady on my back. "There's no should about it. Grief doesn't follow rules. Is it grief if I'm mostly relieved he'll be gone? Yes, because you're not just losing him. You're losing the possibility of him. The father he could have been, should have been. The relationship you'll never have. That's worth grieving even if the man himself isn't." The elevator opened on the ground floor. We walked out into the lobby, past people crying and people laughing and people just existing in the strange liminal space hospitals create. Outside, the night air was cold, shocking after the recycled warmth inside. "What do we do now?" I asked. Marco was quiet for a moment, his jaw working like he was choosing words carefully. "We could run. I have resources, safe houses across 3 continents. We could disappear. Let Agent Chen handle the Morettis. Let the FBI finish what we started. You could go to medical school somewhere else, somewhere they'd never find you. Start over. Or we stay. We finish this. We make sure Vincent Moretti and everyone like him faces justice. Not just for us, but for your mother, for everyone they've hurt, for the people too scared to fight back." I looked at him, this man who'd lied to me, used me, protected me, loved me in the most complicated, impossible way. This man who'd given me permission to be dangerous and then taught me what to do with that danger. "If we stay," I said slowly, "things have to change. Between us, no more secrets, no more decisions made for my own good without my input. We're partners or we're nothing. Partners. Real partners. Equal. I get a say in plans. I get access to information. I get to choose my own risks instead of having you choose them for me." He studied my face like he was seeing me for the first time. Or maybe like he was finally seeing who I'd become. Not the scared girl in a Vegas chapel, but someone who'd survived explosions and betrayals and revelations that would have broken weaker people. "Equal partners," he agreed. "But that means you have to trust me. Really trust me. Not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. When I make decisions that scare you or challenge you or force you to see parts of yourself you've kept hidden. I can do that. If you can do the same, deal." We shook on it. Formal, absurd. The beginning of something I couldn't name but could feel taking shape between us. Something built on honesty and survival and the strange intimacy of people who'd seen each other at their absolute worst and decided that was somehow enough. Marco's phone rang. He answered, listened, his expression darkening with each passing second. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. We're on our way. He hung up and looked at me with an expression that made my stomach drop. What happened? Vincent Moretti turned himself into the FBI 20 minutes ago. Said he wants to make a deal. Said he has information that will bring down not just his organization but half a dozen others. Trafficking rings, money laundering operations, corrupt officials from local cops to federal judges. That's good, right? That's what we wanted. He'll only talk to one person. Only make a deal if his specific demands are met. Marco's jaw tightened. He wants to talk to you, Claire. Says he has information about your mother's death that only you deserve to hear, and he'll only share it if the FBI guarantees his complete immunity and witness protection. The world tilted again. I was so tired of the world tilting, of the ground disappearing, of discovering that every answer led to 3 more questions. Why me? I don't know, but Agent Chen says we have 2 hours to decide. After that, Vincent lawyers up and everything he knows disappears behind attorney-client privilege. I thought about my mother, about the woman who'd been brave enough to stand up to monsters, who'd chosen justice over safety, who'd paid for that choice with her life. I thought about the scared girl I'd been 3 years ago, climbing out bathroom windows and calling it survival. I thought about who I'd become in the wreckage of the past week. Someone who defused bombs and pulled triggers and forgave fathers not because they deserved it, but because she deserved freedom. Take me to him, I said. Whatever Vincent Moretti has to say, I want to hear it. Marco looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. Together? Together. We walked toward his car, toward whatever revelation awaited, toward the man who'd orchestrated so much pain and now apparently wanted to unburden himself. The night was cold and clear, stars visible despite the city lights, the world continuing to spin with indifferent beauty while we dealt with our small human dramas. Behind us, in room 447, my father was dying. Ahead of us, Vincent Moretti was waiting with truths I didn't want but needed to hear. And beside me, Marco walked with the careful precision of someone who'd learned to survive in the spaces between violence and grace. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your father just died. Thought you should know. The nurse said his last words were, "Tell Claire I'm sorry." Seemed important. I stared at the screen. Felt Marco's hand find mine, squeeze once, waited for grief or relief or something, anything. All I felt was tired and free, and absolutely terrified of what Vincent Moretti was about to reveal. Because in my experience, the truths people saved for last were always the ones that hurt the most. The FBI field office looked nothing like the movies. No dramatic lighting, no sense of cinematic importance. Just fluorescent bulbs humming overhead, beige walls that had witnessed 1,000 confessions, and the particular smell of bad coffee and bureaucratic exhaustion. Agent Chen met us at the security checkpoint, her expression unreadable in that way people develop when their job requires absorbing other people's trauma without flinching. He's been here for 3 hours, she said, guiding us through corridors that all looked identical. Hasn't asked for a lawyer, hasn't asked for anything except you, Mrs. Russo. Says he won't talk until you're in the room. What's he offering? Marco asked, his hand on my lower back, protective but not controlling, present but not possessive. We'd been recalibrating our touch language all night, learning how to be close without one of us disappearing into the other. Everything. Chen stopped outside a door marked Interview Room C. Names, dates, financial records, locations of bodies we've been searching for years. He's offering to dismantle 3 decades of organized crime infrastructure. All he wants in exchange is immunity and witness protection. And me, I said, he wants me to hear whatever he has to say about my mother. Yes. Chen's eyes softened almost imperceptibly. I'll be honest with you, Claire. In my experience, when men like Vincent Moretti ask for specific audiences, it's because they want to inflict one last wound. They want to see the pain they cause. It's their final exercise of power. Or maybe he wants absolution, Marco said quietly. Maybe after 30 years of being a monster, he wants one person to understand why. Does it matter? I asked. Both of them looked at me. Whether he wants to hurt me or whether he wants forgiveness, does it change what I need to hear? The silence was my answer. I'll be right outside, Marco said. You say the word, any word that sounds wrong, and I'm coming through that door. You're not alone in this. I know. I kissed him. Brief, grounding, a reminder that whatever happened in the next hour, I had something solid to return to. Something real that existed outside of trauma and revelation and the endless archaeology of family secrets. Then I opened the door. Vincent Moretti sat at a metal table, hands folded in front of him like a priest preparing for mass. The white suit was gone, replaced by an orange jumpsuit that should have diminished him but somehow didn't. He looked exactly like what he was. A man who'd spent decades wielding power so absolute that even prison couldn't strip him of the habit of command. Claire, he said, and his voice was nothing like I expected. Not harsh or cruel, almost gentle, like a favorite uncle greeting a niece he hadn't seen in years. Thank you for coming. I know this must be difficult. You orchestrated a war that nearly killed me multiple times. I sat across from him, kept the table between us like a demilitarized zone. Difficult doesn't begin to cover it. He smiled, and the expression was genuinely warm, disturbing in its authenticity. You're like her, he said. Your mother. Same directness. Same refusal to be diminished by fear. I told her once that she should have been born into our world. That kind of courage is wasted on civilians. My mother stood against you, against everything you represent. She did, and I loved her for it. The words hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. I stared at him, trying to process, failing completely. What? I loved your mother. Vincent leaned back and his eyes went distant, seeing something I couldn't. Not romantically. Not in any way that makes this story more palatable. I loved her the way you love someone who refuses to be what you need them to be. Who insists on being exactly who they are even when it costs them everything. You killed her. Yes. The admission was simple, devastating, offered without excuse or explanation. Just fact, delivered in that same gentle voice that made me want to scream. Why? My voice cracked. If you loved her, if you respected her, why did you? Because love and respect don't change the rules of the game we play. Vincent's expression hardened slightly. Your mother discovered financial irregularities in accounts your father managed for us. She connected those irregularities to trafficking operations, money laundering, murders. She had enough evidence to dismantle everything I'd built over 30 years. So you murdered her. I gave the order. I didn't pull the trigger. I never do. But the distinction is semantics. Her death was my decision, my responsibility, my sin to carry. He paused. Would you like to know how it happened? The truth? Not the sanitized version the police told your father? No. Then, yes, I don't know. My hands were shaking. I pressed them flat against the table to still them. Tell me. She knew we were coming. Your mother wasn't naive. She'd worked with criminals long enough to understand consequences. The night she died, she'd already given copies of her evidence to 3 separate attorneys with instructions to release it if anything happened to her. But nothing was released. If she had insurance, why didn't? Because we found 2 of the attorneys first. Made them understand that releasing the evidence would cost them their families. The third one? Vincent's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. The third one was your father. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the table. Dad was supposed to release Mom's evidence if she died? Yes. She trusted him completely. Believed he'd choose justice over self-preservation. And when we approached him, when we explained very clearly what would happen to you if he released those documents, he made a choice. He chose me. He chose himself. Vincent's voice was matter of fact, neither cruel nor kind. Simply honest. He told himself he was protecting you, but really, he was protecting his comfortable life, his career, his reputation. If your mother's evidence had gone public, his involvement with our organization would have been exposed. He would have lost everything. So he made a deal. His silence in exchange for safety. For you both. I thought about my father in that hospital bed, tears streaming down his face, begging me to understand that he'd done the best he could. And maybe he had. Maybe his best was just catastrophically insufficient. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know the truth about the people who shaped your life. Because your mother died believing your father would honor her sacrifice. And he didn't. Because that betrayal, not her death, but his failure to make it mean something, is the real tragedy of this story. And you're what? I heard the anger creeping into my voice. Welcomed it. You're the wise elder teaching me life lessons. You murdered my mother, and you're sitting here like some kind of philosopher. I'm a monster, Vincent interrupted calmly. I've always known that. I've killed 43 people over my career. Some deserved it. Most didn't. Your mother definitely didn't. I'm not asking for forgiveness or understanding. I'm offering you the truth because it's the only thing I have left to give that has any value. Why? What do you get out of this? He was quiet for a long moment, and for the first time, I saw something vulnerable flicker across his face. Something almost human, because 30 years ago, I had a daughter. He said it softly, like the words cost him something. Daniela. She was 22 when she found out what I really did, what I really was. She looked at me the way you're looking at me now, with horror and betrayal and that particular kind of pain that comes from learning your parent is a monster. What happened to her? She tried to turn me in, went to the FBI with evidence, testimony, everything. I found out before she could make it official. And I had a choice. The same choice I'd have to make with your mother years later. Let her destroy everything I'd built, or stop her. The silence stretched. I was afraid to ask. Had to ask. What did you do? I let her go. Vincent's voice was barely above a whisper. I gave her money, a new identity, and I let her disappear. She's been in witness protection for 28 years. I've never seen her since, never spoken to her. She's alive and free and she hates me, but she's alive. So why couldn't you do the same for my mother? Because by the time I met your mother, I'd learned that mercy is weakness. That letting people go just means watching them destroy you slowly instead of quickly. I'd hardened, calcified, become exactly the monster my daughter saw when she looked at me. His eyes met mine, and I saw genuine anguish there. Your mother paid the price for the lessons my daughter taught me. That's the truth. That's what I live with. I didn't know what to do with this information. Didn't know how to reconcile the man who'd ordered my mother's death with the father who'd let his daughter live. Didn't know if the story was even true or just another manipulation, another way to make me see him as human instead of evil. Why tell me this now, after all these years? Because I'm dying. Vincent said it matter-of-factly. Lung cancer. Stage 4. The doctors give me 6 months, maybe less. And because when you reach the end, you start thinking about legacy, about what you leave behind, about whether the sum total of your life amounts to anything except pain. And what? You think confessing to me will absolve you? No, nothing absolves what I've done. But maybe if I help dismantle the organization I built, if I give the FBI everything they need to free the people still trapped in this life, if I tell you the truth your father never could, maybe that's worth something. Not redemption, just slightly less damnation. I studied him, this man who'd orchestrated so much of my pain, who was offering truth like penance, who seemed to genuinely believe his confessions mattered. Tell me about the night Mom died. Everything. Don't leave anything out. So he did. He told me about the car that had followed her from work, about the mechanic who'd sabotaged her brakes, not enough to make it obvious, just enough to ensure failure at high speed, about the curve on Highway 17 where they knew she'd lose control, about how they'd waited 3 hours to call it in, to make sure there were no survivors, no last words, no evidence except twisted metal and a body too broken to save. He told me about going to my father the next day, about explaining very calmly what would happen if Richard Hartley released any of the evidence his wife had compiled, about watching my father cry and rage and ultimately, inevitably cave. About the first payment, $50,000, blood money disguised as compensation for loss. He told me about watching me over the years. Not constantly, not obsessively, but enough to track my progress, to make sure I didn't follow in my mother's footsteps, to ensure that the daughter didn't finish what the mother had started. And then you met Alex, Vincent said. My nephew, my sister's son. And suddenly you were dating into the family, sleeping under our roof, attending our dinners. You became complicated. Alex wasn't an accident either, was he? No. We arranged the introduction. Made sure he'd be at that medical school mixer where you were networking. Made sure he'd be charming and attentive and exactly what a lonely young woman might find attractive. The plan was simple. Bring you into the family, marry you to Alex, neutralize any threat you might pose by making you one of us. But I left. You climbed out a bathroom window at 2 in the morning and disappeared. Vincent actually smiled. You have no idea how rare that is. Most people stay. They convince themselves it's not that bad, that they can fix it, that love is supposed to hurt sometimes. But you just left, like your mother would have, like my daughter did. And I thought, here we go again. Another woman who refuses to be controlled. So you decided to use me against Marco. We decided to make you useful. The Vegas setup was months in planning. We needed to connect you to Marco Russo in a way that couldn't be easily severed. Marriage was perfect, legal, binding, public. And the contract you signed, that gave us leverage, insurance, proof of connection that we could use to pressure either one of you. Except Marco was working with the FBI the entire time. Except that Vincent's expression hardened. We didn't know until tonight. Didn't suspect. Marco Russo is many things, but we never thought he was a rat. That revelation, it changes everything. That's why you turned yourself in. That's why I'm offering everything I know. Because if Marco's been feeding information to the feds for 18 months, my organization is already compromised, already dying. I can either go down fighting, take as many people with me as possible, including you, or I can control the narrative, trade information for immunity, live out my last 6 months somewhere quiet instead of in a cell. The cold calculation of it was almost impressive. Almost. And what about justice for my mother? For all the people you've killed? You think making a deal with the FBI erases 30 years of murder? No, but it might save future victims, might prevent other daughters from losing their mothers to men like me. Vincent leaned forward, and his voice dropped. I can't bring your mother back. Can't undo what I did or make your father less of a coward, but I can give you something he never could. What's that? The truth, unvarnished, complete. Your mother was brilliant and brave, and she died because she refused to look away from evil when looking away would have saved her life. Your father was weak and scared, and he let her death be meaningless because saving himself mattered more than honoring her sacrifice. And you. He paused, studying my face. You're the synthesis of both of them. Your mother's courage and your father's survival instinct. That's what makes you dangerous. That's why you're still alive when you should have died a dozen times this week. I'm alive because Marco protected me. You're alive because you learned to protect yourself. Marco gave you tools, but you're the one who used them. You're the one who pulled the trigger on Alex. You're the one who figured out how to contain that bomb. You're the one sitting across from me now instead of hiding behind your husband like most wives would. The words settled over me, and I realized he was right. Somewhere in the chaos of the past week, I'd stopped being a victim and become something else. Not a monster. I'd never be that, but not helpless either. Something in between, something new. What happens now? I asked. Now I give the FBI everything. Names, locations, financial records, criminal enterprises spanning 3 decades. By tomorrow morning, they'll have enough evidence to indict over 200 people. By next week, the entire infrastructure of organized crime on the East Coast will collapse. And you get witness protection. I get 6 months of peace before the cancer kills me. He said it without self-pity. Just fact. I'll die in some small town under a fake name. And maybe when I close my eyes for the last time, I'll see my daughter's face instead of all the people I killed. Maybe that's worth something. It's not. I know. But it's all I have. I stood to leave, and Vincent's hand shot out, grabbed my wrist. Not hard, not threatening, just desperate. Wait, please. There's something else. I should have pulled away, should have called for Marco, for Agent Chen, for anyone. But something in his voice stopped me. What? Your mother's evidence, the files she compiled. Your father didn't destroy them. My heart stopped. What? He hid them, kept them as insurance in case we ever came for him. I didn't know about them until tonight. One of his lawyers reached out, said Richard Hartley left instructions for the files to be released in the event of his death. Where are they? Storage unit in Queens, Unit 247. The key is taped under the bottom drawer of his desk at home. Vincent released my wrist. Everything your mother died to protect is still there, waiting for someone brave enough to use it. The FBI already has your testimony. They need corroboration. Physical evidence to back up my claims. Without it, My testimony is just words. With your mother's files, it's a case. A real, prosecutable, ironclad case that brings down not just my organization, but all the corrupt officials we've bought over the years. Judges, senators, police chiefs, everyone. Why tell me this? Why not just tell Agent Chen? Because those files belong to you. They're your mother's legacy. You should be the one to decide what happens to them. You should be the one to finish what she started. Vincent's eyes were wet now, and I couldn't tell if the emotion was genuine or performative. Give your mother's death meaning, Claire. Be the daughter your father couldn't be. Make her sacrifice matter. I pulled my hand away, stepped back, tried to process this final revelation in a week full of them. If you're lying, I'm not. You can verify everything with your father's attorney, Marcus Webb. Offices on Fifth Avenue. He's been holding the files for 3 years, waiting for instructions that never came. Until tonight. I turned toward the door, then paused. Did you love her? Really? Or is that just another story you tell yourself to make the murder easier to live with? Vincent was quiet for a long moment. Then, I loved her the way predators love the prey that got away. With admiration and resentment and the knowledge that killing her diminished me somehow. Made me less than I could have been. Your mother saw me, really saw me. And instead of being afraid, she just looked disappointed, like I was wasting potential. That's a kind of love, I think. The most honest kind. That's not love. That's narcissism. Maybe there's not much difference. I left him there. Walked out into the corridor where Marco was waiting with Agent Chen. They both looked at me with identical expressions of concern and calculation, trying to read in my face what horrors I'd just absorbed. He told me everything, I said. My voice sounded strange to my own ears, distant, processed through cotton. About Mom, about Dad, about why this week happened and what it was supposed to accomplish. And he told me where to find Mom's evidence. The original files she compiled before she died. Where? Chen pulled out her notebook. All business now. Storage unit in Queens. But first we need to go to my father's house. Get the key. Marco's hand found mine, squeezed once. Are you okay? No. I looked at him. This man who'd lied to me and loved me and given me space to become dangerous. But I'm functional. And right now, functional is enough. We drove to my father's house in Connecticut, the house where I'd grown up, where Mom had taught me to ride a bike and Dad had read me bedtime stories and everything had seemed safe until suddenly it wasn't. The place looked smaller than I remembered, diminished by time and grief and the knowledge of what had happened here. The key was exactly where Vincent said it would be, taped under the bottom drawer of Dad's mahogany desk, the one he'd called his thinking space. I peeled off the tape with shaking hands, held the small brass key up to the light like it might reveal its secrets through examination. This is it, I said. Mom's legacy. Everything she died to protect, reduced to this tiny piece of metal. It's not reduced, Marco said quietly. It's concentrated, distilled to its essence. Your mother spent months compiling that evidence. Every file, every document, every piece of proof represents a choice she made to fight back. That key isn't small, it's enormous. We drove to Queens in the early morning light, the city waking up around us with its usual oblivious beauty. The storage facility was exactly the kind of anonymous, forgettable place where people hide the things they can't bear to face: old furniture, childhood toys, evidence of crimes that could topple empires. Unit 247 was on the 3rd floor. The key turned smoothly in the lock, like it had been waiting for this moment, like even the universe understood this was important. Inside, boxes, dozens of them, neatly labeled in my mother's handwriting. Financial records, transaction logs, photographs, audio recordings, 3 years of meticulous documentation, organized with the precision of a forensic accountant who understood that details matter, that the devil lives in the spreadsheets, that justice is built on evidence one piece at a time. I picked up a box at random, opened it, found my mother's notes scrawled in the margins of bank statements: offshore account, payment for trafficking, check with source. Her handwriting was exactly as I remembered. Neat, efficient, the letters slightly slanted to the right like they were leaning into the future. She knew, I whispered. She knew what she was documenting, knew what it would cost her, and she did it anyway. Agent Chen was already on her phone, calling for a team to transport the evidence. Marco was opening boxes methodically, checking contents, his face growing harder with each revelation. And I just stood there, holding my mother's notes, trying to feel close to her across the gulf of 3 years and one murder. Claire. Marco's voice was strange. You need to see this. He held out a file folder, different from the others. Personal. On the front, in Mom's handwriting, for Claire. To be opened only if I don't survive. My hands shook as I took it. Inside, a letter. Pages and pages in her handwriting. Dated 2 days before she died. My darling girl, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I'm so sorry. Sorry for leaving you. Sorry for making choices that led here. Sorry for not being there to see you grow into the magnificent woman I know you'll become. I want you to know this wasn't impulsive. I've spent months weighing the risks, considering the consequences, trying to find any way to do the right thing without endangering our family. There isn't one. Sometimes courage means accepting that doing the right thing will cost you everything. I found evidence of terrible things, sweetheart. Human trafficking, murder, corruption that reaches from street-level dealers to the highest levels of government, and I can't unsee it, can't unknow it, can't live with myself if I stay silent. Your father doesn't understand. He thinks I'm being reckless, that I'm choosing strangers over family, but I'm not choosing strangers over you. I'm choosing the kind of world I want you to grow up in. A world where powerful men can't abuse people without consequences. A world where someone cares enough to fight back. I've taken precautions, given copies of my evidence to people I trust, including your father. I've made arrangements for the FBI to receive everything if something happens to me. And I've written this letter because I want you to know, if I die, it won't be meaningless. It will matter. It will change things. But Claire, my beautiful, brilliant daughter, I need you to promise me something. Don't try to finish what I started. Don't put yourself in danger trying to avenge me or honor my memory. Just live. Live fully and freely and courageously in whatever way makes sense to you. That's the only revenge that matters. Refusing to let them make you small. Refusing to let fear win. I love you more than I can express. I'm proud of who you are and who you'll become. And wherever I am, whatever comes next, I'll be watching over you, believing in you, knowing you'll be okay even without me there to see it. Be brave, sweetheart, but be smart too. Know when to fight and when to walk away. And remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what needs to be done despite the fear. All my love, always, Mom. I read the letter 3 times, then folded it carefully, pressed it against my chest like I could absorb her words through my skin. Around me, FBI agents were cataloging evidence. Agent Chen was coordinating with prosecutors. Marco was giving statements. The machinery of justice was beginning to turn, slow and inexorable, powered by my mother's sacrifice and my father's cowardice and Vincent Moretti's late-life confession. And I stood in the middle of it all, holding a letter from a ghost, trying to figure out what it meant to honor someone's dying wish while simultaneously disobeying their direct instructions. What did she say? Marco asked quietly, appearing beside me. She told me not to finish what she started, to live my life and let the dead stay dead. And what do you want to do? I looked at the boxes of evidence, at my mother's handwriting covering thousands of pages, at the physical manifestation of her courage and my father's failure, at the choice laid out before me. Honor her explicit wishes or her implicit example. I want to testify, I said. Against Vincent, against everyone his evidence implicates, against the whole corrupt system Mom died exposing. I want to stand in court and tell the world what she discovered and why it mattered. I want her name attached to the case that brings these monsters down. That will put a target on your back, Chen said, joining us. Everyone Vincent testifies against will know you're the reason their lives fell apart. Witness protection might not be enough. Then I'll be careful. I met her eyes. But I'm done hiding. Done being the thing people fight over while I wait in locked rooms. Mom died fighting. I can at least live the same way. Marco's hand found mine. If you do this, I'm with you. Every step. Every testimony. Every threat. We face it together or not at all. Partners. Partners. 3 months later, I stood in federal court wearing a suit I'd never been able to afford before. my mother's letter folded in my pocket like a talisman. The courtroom was packed. Journalists, lawyers, families of victims, and in the back, Marco and Sal and Agent Chen, there to witness what justice looked like when it finally, impossibly, prevailed. Vincent Moretti's testimony had been devastating. 3 weeks of detailed confessions, names, dates, financial transactions. The corrupt judge had been removed. The bought senator had resigned. The police chief who'd looked the other way for decades was awaiting trial in the same facility where he'd sent innocent people. And now it was my turn. My turn to talk about my mother's courage and my father's cowardice. My turn to explain how evidence compiled by a forensic accountant 3 years ago was bringing down an empire. My turn to give her death the meaning my father had refused to give it. The prosecutor, a woman named Rachel Kim, who reminded me of my mother, actually, smiled at me encouragingly. "Ms. Hartley, can you tell the court how you came to possess the evidence we've been discussing?" My mother compiled it. I kept my voice steady. Professional. The way I'd practiced. She was a forensic accountant who discovered financial irregularities in accounts managed by my father. She spent months investigating, documenting, building a case. She knew it was dangerous. She did it anyway. And what happened to your mother? She was murdered. On orders from Vincent Moretti. Made to look like an accident. My father knew the truth and stayed silent because he was afraid. Because survival mattered more than justice. I talked for hours. About Mom's courage. About Dad's failure. About my own journey from victim to survivor to something else entirely. Something I was still learning to name. I talked about Alex's violence and Marco's protection and the strange, terrible beauty of learning to be dangerous in a world that preferred women docile. And when I was finished, when the prosecutor said, "No further questions," and I stepped down from the stand, I felt something shift inside me. Not closure. Grief doesn't work like that, doesn't wrap up neatly in courtroom testimony. But something like resolution. Like I'd finally, impossibly, done right by the woman who'd given me life and taught me courage, even in her absence. Marco was waiting outside the courtroom. He didn't say anything, just pulled me into his arms and held me while I didn't cry. Couldn't cry, just breathed and existed, and let myself be held by someone who understood that survival was complicated and love was messy, and sometimes the best you could do was just keep standing. "Proud of you," he said against my hair. She would have hated this. I laughed, the sound watery. Mom specifically told me not to testify, not to put myself in danger. I disobeyed her dying wish. No. You honored her example instead of her words. There's a difference. We walked out of the courthouse into autumn sunlight, and the world looked exactly the same as it had that morning. Same sky, same city, same oblivious beauty of a Tuesday afternoon. But I felt different. Lighter, maybe. Or just differently weighted. The burden of my mother's death redistributed somehow so I could carry it without drowning. 6 months after the trial, exactly at the end of our Vegas contract, though neither of us was counting, Marco and I stood in a small chapel in upstate New York. Not Elvis, not drunk. Just us and Sal and Jenna and a handful of people who'd survived with us and understood that love forged in trauma looks different but burns just as bright. Claire Elizabeth Hartley, take you. Marco Alessandro Russo. I paused, looked at this man who'd used me and protected me and taught me to be dangerous. To be my partner, my equal, my choice made freely, soberly, and with full knowledge of how complicated this will be. "That's not traditional vows," the officiant whispered. "Nothing about us is traditional," Marco said, never taking his eyes off me. "Keep going." So I did. I promised him honesty and courage and the willingness to fight beside him instead of hiding behind him. I promised him that I'd pull the trigger when necessary and choose mercy when possible and never, ever stop becoming whoever I needed to be. And he promised me the same. Promised me transparency and partnership, and the understanding that protecting someone means trusting them to protect themselves. Promised me that we'd face whatever came next together. Not because we were perfect, but because we were honest enough to admit we were both broken and brave enough to keep trying anyway. We kissed, and it felt like a beginning instead of an ending. Like all the terrible things that had brought us to this moment were somehow, impossibly, worth it, if they led here. That night, in a bed we actually chose instead of being assigned, Marco held me and I held him back, and we just existed in the quiet space between violence and grace. Do you think she'd be proud? I asked. Mom, of who I became. Marco was quiet, considering. I think she'd be grateful that her death bought you the freedom to choose who to become instead of having it chosen for you. That you used her sacrifice as permission to be brave. I'm not brave. I'm just tired of being afraid. That's what brave is. Doing the thing despite the terror. He kissed my forehead. You testified against the mob, Claire. You finished what your mother started. That's not tired, that's heroic. Heroes don't pull triggers. The good ones do. When they have to. When it's the only language monsters understand. I thought about Alex's face when I'd shot him. About the bomb ticking down. About my father dying alone because I couldn't give him the forgiveness he wanted. About all the choices I'd made in the wreckage of my mother's murder and my father's cowardice. I'm not sorry, I said. For any of it. For shooting Alex. For letting Dad die unforgiven. For disobeying Mom's wishes and testifying anyway. I should feel guilty, but I don't. Does that make me a monster? It makes you human. Marco pulled me closer. Complicated and flawed and doing your best with impossible choices, just like everyone else. Just like you. Just like me. We fell asleep like that, tangled together. Two people who'd learned to survive by becoming dangerous and then learning when to be soft. Two people who'd found love in the wreckage and decided that was enough. That broken things could still be beautiful if you were honest about the cracks. The next morning, I woke to sunlight and coffee, and Marco reading the newspaper with reading glasses I'd never seen him wear before. Domestic. Normal. The kind of Tuesday morning that 6 months ago would have seemed impossible. There's a story about the trial, he said, holding up the paper. About you and your mother. They're calling her a hero. Calling the case that brought down the Morettis the Hartley files. I took the paper, read the headline. Forensic accountant's evidence brings down crime syndicate, 3 years after her murder. Daughter completes mother's mission. There was a photo of Mom from before I was born, young, smiling, fearless in the way people are when they haven't yet learned what the world costs. And beside it, a photo of me leaving the courthouse, Marco's hand in mine, my face set with determination or exhaustion or both. We looked nothing alike and exactly the same. Two women who'd refused to stay small. Who'd chosen courage over comfort. Who'd pay different prices for the same kind of freedom. She'd hate the attention, I said. Mom was always about the work, not the recognition. But she'd love that you finished it. That her death mattered. That you made it matter. I set down the paper, turned to Marco. This man who'd become my partner in the truest sense. Not because he saved me, but because he gave me space to save myself. What do we do now? I asked. The trial's over. Vincent's in witness protection. The Morettis are dismantled. We don't have to run anymore. Don't have to fight. Don't have to survive. We can just live. So let's live. He pulled me onto his lap, kissed me slow and thorough. Medical school for you. Whatever legitimate business I can find for me. Maybe a dog. Maybe a house with a yard. Maybe boring Tuesday mornings forever. Boring sounds good. Boring sounds perfect. But even as I said it, even as I imagined that quiet future, I knew we'd never be fully boring. Would always carry the weight of what we'd survived. Would always be the kind of people who kept guns in nightstands and looked over shoulders and understood that violence was always a possibility even in peaceful moments. And that was okay. More than okay. Because we'd earned our scars honestly. Had paid for our freedom in blood and testimony and the willingness to become dangerous when necessary and soft when possible. My phone rang. Agent Chen. Claire, I hope I'm not interrupting. Just having coffee. What's up? We arrested the last of the Moretti associates this morning. Everyone Vincent named. Everyone your mother's evidence implicated. It's over. Really, truly over. I felt something release in my chest. Tension I hadn't known I was carrying. Fear that had become so familiar I'd forgotten it was temporary. Thank you. For everything. Thank me by living well. By finishing medical school and becoming the doctor your mother never got to see you become. That's the real victory here. Not the arrests, but you getting to choose your future. We hung up, and I turned to Marco with tears finally, impossibly, falling. It's over, I said. It's actually over. He held me while I cried. Not from sadness, but from relief. from the overwhelming realization that I'd survived, that I'd fought back, that I'd honored my mother and defied my father and become someone I could recognize in the mirror, that I'd climbed out the bathroom window 3 years ago and somehow, impossibly, found my way home. Later, much later, I stood in front of my mother's grave. The headstone was simple: Elizabeth Hartley, beloved wife and mother. She fought the good fight. I placed flowers at the base, peonies, her favorite, and pulled out the letter she'd written me 3 years ago. I didn't listen. I said to the stone, to the earth, to whatever remained of her in the universe, "You told me not to finish what you started, and I did it anyway. I testified. I used your evidence. I made sure your death changed things." The wind picked up, rustling leaves, carrying the smell of autumn. I hope that's okay. I hope you understand. I couldn't just live while your sacrifice sat in a storage unit gathering dust. Couldn't let Dad's cowardice be the final word on your story. So I disobeyed you. And I'm not sorry. I touched the stone, felt the cold granite under my fingers. But I promise I'll do the other part. I'll live, fully and freely and courageously. I'll become the doctor you never got to see me become. I'll love someone who's complicated and dangerous and honest. I'll be brave and smart, and I'll know when to fight and when to walk away. I stood there for a long time, saying goodbye to the mother I'd lost and the father I'd never really had, and the girl I'd been before Vegas changed everything. When I finally turned to leave, Marco was waiting by the car. Patient, present, real. "Ready?" he asked. I took one last look at the grave, at the name carved in stone, at the evidence that someone had existed and fought and mattered. "Yeah," I said, taking his hand. "I'm ready." We drove away from the cemetery, toward medical school and legitimate business and boring Tuesday mornings, toward a future we'd earned through survival and testimony and the willingness to be dangerous when necessary, toward the rest of our complicated, beautiful, hard-won lives. And if sometimes I woke up gasping from nightmares about explosions and gunshots and my father's disappointed face, well, Marco was there to hold me until the fear passed, to remind me that I'd survived, that I'd won, that I was free. If you made it to the end of this story, let us know in the comments which city you're watching from, and click the yellow bell to subscribe to the channel and support us. Keep the adventure going by clicking on the suggested video on your screen.